Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're uncovering the invisible, almost mundane forces that literally shape our entire world. We're going to be looking at the secret tools of success that are, quite frankly, hiding right in front of us.
So what do the Suez Canal, a 17th century apple, and Starbucks all share in common? I know, it sounds like the setup to a really weird joke, right? But the answer actually lies in simple, everyday superpowers that we almost always overlook. The whole foundation for our journey today comes directly from Manoj Tripathi's absolutely fascinating book, Power of Ignored Skills. What Tripathi argues, and what we're going to unpack for you today, is that the absolute most powerful tools for innovation, they aren't complex theories taught in fancy Ivy League MBA programs. Nope. They're completely ordinary skills that we just ignore.
Section 1. The Illusion of the Ordinary. Active Observation.
I absolutely love this quote from Will Rogers. He said, "People's minds are changed through observation and not through argument." It perfectly anchors this idea that focused attention is just way more persuasive, way more powerful than mere words. You know, our brains are always working, right? Always registering events. But conscious observation, that is an entirely different level of processing. Let's contrast these two concepts real quick with a fantastic example from cricket. When a legend like Sachin Tendulkar plays a brilliant cover drive, millions of fans just watch the ball fly to the boundary, and they clap. That's passive watching. But true learners, they actively observe. They're noting exactly how he read the pitch of the ball, the exact angle of his left foot, how he kept the face of the bat closed. See, the passive watcher just blames the pitch if they fail. The active observer, they learn how to actually replicate that success.
Now, this active observation requires immense patience. Take the famous story of Professor Louis Agassiz at Harvard. He literally placed a dead sunfish in front of a postgrad student and just disappeared. The student wrote down his initial assumptions in about an hour and thought, okay, I'm done. But the professor rejected it. He forced this student to stare at that single fish for over a week. By discarding those initial assumptions and studying the subject for countless hours, the student finally noticed the minute patterns of the scales, the specific placement of the teeth. He found these deeper truths because he finally stopped just looking and he started observing. It's a massive lesson in patience we can all apply.
Section 2. Learning through looking. Scientific progress. Okay, the invention of Velcro brilliantly illustrates how this works in the real world. So, a Swiss engineer named George de Mestral was just out walking his dog in the woods when he noticed these annoying little burdock burrs stuck to his pants and to his dog's fur. Now, most of us would just brush them off and keep walking, right? Not Mestral. He took them, put them under a microscope, and studied their tiny little hook-like structures. And well, after a decade of effort, he completely invented Velcro. Talk about a real game changer. And what's wild is how the absolute greatest leaps in medical and scientific history all started with someone simply noticing a mundane anomaly. I mean, Isaac Newton observed an apple falling straight down instead of sideways, and boom, we get the theory of gravity. Edward Jenner just listened to a milkmaid claim she was immune to smallpox because she'd had cowpox, which led directly to the world's first vaccine. Alexander Fleming noticed this weird, completely random ring of mold clearing out bacteria on a messy lab plate, and that gave us penicillin. The whole shebang comes down to them mastering the art of curious observation. But hey, this isn't just limited to science. Let's look at the plastic cone filter anomaly. So back in the 70s, a guy named Howard Schultz was working for a company that sold plastic coffee filters. And he noticed this incredibly unusual trend. A tiny, totally obscure coffee shop in Seattle was buying an abnormally high number of these filters. He got curious. He traveled all the way out there, observed their really calm customer service and their deep, deep coffee knowledge, and he was completely hooked. That tiny shop? Yeah, it was Starbucks. Schultz's simple observation led him to eventually acquire the company and build a massive global empire.
Section 3. Connecting the dots. Seeing the bigger picture.
As Steve Jobs so famously said, you can't connect the dots looking forward, you can only connect them looking backwards. We rarely realize, right in the thick of the moment, just how deeply interconnected historical and economic events truly are. Let's just trace the dots of how Mumbai, which was originally just a sleepy village of 7 islands, became India's financial capital. Okay, so the Portuguese ceded it to the British in the 1600s, but the real catalyst actually happened thousands of miles away in 1869. The opening of the Suez Canal. By drastically shortening the trade route between London and Mumbai by like 40%, cargo ships just flooded in. That single canal sparked a massive cotton mill boom in Bombay, transforming its entire destiny forever. And honestly, our world is just full of these massive geopolitical butterfly effects. A decision on one side of the planet completely dictates the reality of someone on the other side. Like when the US heavily subsidized its cotton farmers to beat out global competition, it crashed prices and absolutely devastated Indian farmers thousands of miles away. Or when US President Lyndon B. Johnson restricted wheat shipments to India because of Vietnam War politics, that forced India to desperately overhaul its entire agricultural system, which actually sparked the Indian Green Revolution. Or when Punjabis migrated to Canada for a better life, they left behind a labor vacuum that ended up creating a huge wave of jobs for migrant workers from Uttar Pradesh and Bihar. It's wild. Literally everything is connected.
Section 4. Connections Gone Wrong. The Dark Side. Which naturally brings us to the snake effect. This happens when we, as human beings, completely fail to understand the complex web of ecology and incentives. We try to solve a problem, and our attempted solution actually makes the underlying problem significantly worse. The term comes from a shockingly real event in British India. So Delhi had this massive problem with venomous cobras. The administration's logical, but ultimately flawed solution was to offer a cash bounty for every dead snake. And hey, step 1, it worked. But then step 2 happened. Enterprising citizens actually started breeding cobras just to kill them for the reward money. Once the government realized the scam in step 3, they canceled the program entirely, which led directly to step 4. The breeders released all their now worthless cobras straight into the streets, meaning the snake population ended up way higher than before they even started. Talk about backfiring. But the snake effect can have far, far more tragic consequences than just a few extra reptiles. 35 million. That staggering number represents the tragic loss of human life due to starvation during Mao Zedong's Chinese sparrow campaign in the late 1950s. Basically, the Chinese administration believed that sparrows were eating all their grain, so they ordered citizens to eradicate the birds. By killing over 1 billion birds, they thought, hey, we're saving our food supply. But they completely failed to connect the ecological dots. See, baby sparrows actually ate crop-destroying insects. So with the sparrows eliminated, there were 0 insect predators left. This unleashed an absolute plague of pests that just devoured the food supply, leading to a totally unprecedented crop failure. Section 5. Mastering the Unseen. Nonverbal Signals. Now, observation isn't just about history or ecology. It's about each other. Just consider this staggering data for a second. We spend our entire lives absolutely obsessing over the exact words we use, right? Drafting text messages, overthinking emails, yet research shows that a massive 93% of interpersonal communication is entirely nonverbal. We're talking body posture, facial expressions, eye contact, the tone of our voice. If you aren't using your active observation skills during a conversation, you are literally missing 93% of the message. Which brings us to our final thought. The power to change your life? It isn't locked behind some expensive paywall. It's rooted in skills you already possess, but probably just ignore. So I'm going to leave you with this question. Are you actively observing your world, really connecting the dots and reading the unseen signals? Or are you just passively watching it all pass by? Take these overlooked superpowers and start applying them today. Thanks for joining me on this explainer. And hey, keep observing.